to the Val and Val Show, where conversation is art, 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 art. Conversation is art, conversation is art. You should chime in, ain't no telling what to spark on the Val and Val Show. Ain't no telling the Val and Val Show. You know, ain't no telling where we go on the Val and Val Show. Ain't no ceiling, cause the art of conversation is the flow. It's that creativity available when we speak, available in our homes, available in the streets. We just trying to get it sparking and take it a little deeper. Keep it casual while fireside chatting with our people. Yeah, we take it a little deeper. It get hot when we fireside chatting with our people. Cause conversation is art, conversation is art. You should chime in, ain't no telling what'll spark on the Val, the Val and Val Show, the Val and Val Show.
What's up?
Hey, everybody probably like, who is that? What's his name?
Val and Val.
How you doing?
Everyone. I'm doing good.
Good.
Doing good. Yep,
Good.
feeling good. And been out and about a little bit. Probably a little bit too much, actually.
Yeah.
And so I'm feeling it this evening.
Yeah.
I'm a little tired.
Welcome. Welcome everyone.
Yeah,
the
welcome
conversation
everybody.
is hot. Art, the Val and Val Show.
Yeah, and we're back.
For sure. Yeah. And look, everyone know it's May. So this is what we're celebrating too. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. Break the stigma. And that's what we're all about, because there are many things that can affect our mental health. You don't have to have an actual psych diagnosis for your mental health to be affected. And trust me, the past few years, we've all been affected in some way.
Right.
In some way, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
So, my co-host, Mr. Valton.
Hey. What's happening?
How you doing?
I'm good, Valerie. Good to see you, girl. Thanks for visiting me during my time away. I feel good. Mentally, I'm good. It's interesting for those of you who do not know. Shall I go right into it, Valerie?
Well, no, not quite yet. Not quite yet. Yeah. Listen, we're going to have a conversation. This is just a conversation, really more Valton's conversation. He's going to share with you all what he's been dealing with. And of course, with me being a nurse. Now, the first thing I want y'all to notice, and put this across the bottom of the screen. It says, this information discussed is for information purposes only. Nothing shared is intended to substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of a qualified medical professional with any questions you may have regarding your health. Right. And that's going to be running across the bottom there, okay?
Good.
We're going to have some conversations here. And many of you know Valton's been really, really busy. Got his Welcome to Dundra High. God is really opening up doors for him.
Yeah.
And I know all of our listening order may not be believers, but we are. So you will hear us refer to the word of God. And if that bothers you, then we just ain't the show for you. This conversation ain't for you.
What they say, not Felicia.
We're not going to change that.
Right.
Because that is who we are, and what's in you will come out.
That's right.
So
that's right.
With that being said, Valton is a busy man, moving a shaker. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He doesn't necessarily voluntarily rest. Okay. Something he's a crash and burn kind of fellow. Okay. Bottom line, crash and burn is the only thing that takes him down. Witness with me now, LaSharie. Yeah. Witness with me.
Don't drag her in there.
Look, she said, "Good evening, guys, and welcome back, honey."
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. But on the serious tip, Valton is a very busy person. But what you will soon find out, he wasn't so busy that he did not notice something about himself that was going on. So I'm gonna put you up there and let them know you're a guest tonight. So we got our
Lord.
Hey,
no, I'm a guest.
You're a guest. Look, you're a guest in the interview.
Yeah, right. I was a guest in my own show.
Okay, yeah. And Valton, you're a little ghosty looking tonight, a little foggy looking.
Really?
Anyway, we're gonna press our way through. So, with this being said, if you read the flyer, y'all would know. I told you all to join us tonight, and especially men. Valton was going to share with you all a recent medical experience and why knowing your body is important. In his words, and we titled this Health is Wealth. And we
Mm-hmm.
all need to focus more on this for
Right.
sure, because we get real busy and start running through life. And sometimes we may miss some things. So Valton, let's start off. Let's just tell the people what was going on as it relates to you trying to get rid of with your Dondra-Hype expansion,
Yeah.
and how you got to where you realized something was going on.
Hey, folks, everybody. It's good to see y'all and hear from y'all and chime in with your questions or whatever. I'm a very transparent person, so we have a very fluid conversation. And thank you, Valerie, for bringing this health message that I probably needed to share with the world about how things transpire with me. So back in March, as you all know, we did the Welcome to Dundra Heights, or the Dundra Heights Film Camp. And we had a very successful camp. The week prior to that, we did one for West End Academy for the city of Birmingham. But anyway, I began to get, I guess it was a cold actually, in the third week of March. And so I ran that out with fluids and stuff like that. And then about the 29th of March, I was having lunch with Chloe, my granddaughter, here at the house. And I felt something squeeze inside of me, like something was just squeezing my organs. And I sat up straight, thought I was eating too fast, told Chloe to give me something to drink. And it subsided after about 2 or 3 minutes. So I didn't think anything of it. And she said, "Do you want me to go get grandma?" I said, "No, it'll go away." Well, Lashery and I were having lunch maybe the next week on a Wednesday. And it happened again. And I told her, "I think I'm eating too fast." She said, "Yeah, you probably are, because you're always ready to go do the next thing," which is true. And so we finished our meal. I told her I'm going to call the doctor, see if I can get in tomorrow, which would have been Thursday. Well, I went by my doctor's office, and as I'm getting out of my truck, something presses into my chest. And I'm thinking, what is that strange feeling? And I sat there and it went away. So I went inside. I told them, "Hey, listen, let's run an EKG. Let's do this blood work. Let's do this, that, and the other." And they did. And they were on the spot. "Everything's great with your heart, but we're concerned about what's squeezing you on the inside." Well, I probably have had that before and just ignored it. But this time it was more intense. And so they sent me on that Friday for they call it a ultrasound. And I told Lashery when I got home, they spent an inordinate amount of time, a lot of time, on my right side for some reason. And I was trying to poke at the technician to see if she'd give me any indication as to what was going on, as to what she was seeing, but she wasn't taking the bait. She was talking about the Lord, and we were talking back and forth about various things in a book that she had written, which she gave me a copy of, and it's entitled God's Creation.
Okay.
And her name is Amy Burkett. And I was teasing her. I said, "You must be my other daughter, because I have a daughter named Amy." But anyway, long story short, she gave me the book and she's autographed it on my way out. But I couldn't get her to give me any information as to why she was staying on my right side so much. Well, I go through the weekend, whatever we're doing for the weekend, we did. And that Monday, I get up and I'm out running around, and I'm over in Homewood. Actually, I was doing some shopping. I'll just put it that way. And I got a phone call from my doctor's office. And so they were teasing me on the phone. "Hey, Miss Johnson, what's going on? Yada, 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 yada. We have a great weekend. You had a good weekend?" Yeah. And so I thought we were going to have a very light conversation because they were so jovial. And then they said, "Well, the reason we're calling is because we got your information back for your medical examination. And there has been a mass found on your right side. And we need to get you in immediately to find out what's going on." Well, from that point to the end of the conversation, I was like Charlie Brown. Wah, 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 wah. I don't know what they said after that. Only thing I heard was a mass in my body. So at that point, in all transparency, I called Lashery from where I was. And I said to her, "Hey, listen, the doctor's office just called, and they said there's a mass that they found on my right side." And the only thing I could remember doing was almost breaking down crying, because I went from that mass to my grave. from my mask to my grave. And it's a mental thing that you begin to process. Even the unknown is what makes us so fearful because we don't know. And I'm the kind of guy, I want to know every step of the way and the next steps going to the process. So we clean that up. She said, well, it's nothing. We're going to take care of it, whatever it may be. So at that moment, I just stopped doing what I'm doing. And I'm like, oh God, what's going on with me now? So I just go home. I'm not interested in looking at these cars anymore. I'm not interested in anything. I just want to go home and sulk. Lord, why you let whatever's happened to me? Nah, I didn't do it that way. I just sucked and said, well, whatever it is, we got to deal with it. And I got too much to do. Well, I then on Monday, on Wednesday morning, I called the doctor's office and said, send me via email what you have on your system. So they sent it to me. I then called Michael Bivens, my doctor, my frat brother. And I said, hey, man, this is what's happening. He said, well, send it to me. Never mind. Don't send it to me. Come over here. I want to see you right now. So when I got there, they were waiting for me. And they got me right in to see him. And he looked at what the doctor's office had sent. And it read whatever it read in medical terms. And he looked at me and he said, yeah, you got something in there. We got to get it out. I said, well, I'm supposed to go to them on Friday for the consult. He said, nope. He said, I want you to come to me because I want to handle this myself. And that gave me a level of comfort to know that somebody I know, somebody I trust, that I can put my hands on, I can call and I can text and he'll text me back and to let me know that he wanted to handle this situation himself. So I think last week I went to see him and he told us what was going on. He said, there's a mass and we got to get it out. And it looks like it's on your kidney. And what I'll do is I'll go in there and I'll take, what they call it, Valerie, a nephrectomy or something?
Yeah, nephrectomy.
Nephrectomy. And he said, I'm going to try to take it off without taking your whole kidney, but I'm not going to wake you up to ask you if I can take your kidney. I'm just going to take it if I can't get it all out of there. And I was like, okay. So we laughed about that. Hold it. So I was just thinking I was going to go in. It was like a little, and I've never had a toothache. So I was just going to say, I was just thinking it was like go in and get your tooth fixed or whatever. And I'm going to get out of there. It wasn't like that. It wasn't like that at all. So from that Wednesday to the next week, I'm having to think about what is this thing in my body. You're talking about no sleep. Not because I don't believe, it's because I believe in the unknown. And I didn't know what the unknown was other than a mass. Well, what is it? Is it cancer? Is it not? Is it benign? How did it get there? What happened? How did I get this? And so I'm lying around, not really lying around, but just looking at TV, but the TV's really on and I'm just staring at it, thinking about everything from La Cherie to the house to the material things that, I have my name signed on, and my daughters, my grandchildren, everything that surrounds and embodies who makes up my sphere, and what's going to happen if this happens, if this happens, if this happens. But, the Bible says, if you keep your mind stayed on me, I will keep you in perfect
peace.
So,
okay, Valton, look, let me jump in real quick.
Yeah.
Because, he called me and shared with me and I could hear it in his voice. It's kind of like, wow. Because when you go, number one, as a nurse, I wish they would not tell people that kind of stuff over the phone. That is, I know we live in that kind of world, but no, that is not something even if you don't do that over the phone. Okay. That's not cool. Especially a person alone, that's not good. But when he called me and I listened to him and I knew, I was like, okay, this is taking them to a place. And hey, Battle, but tell them what I did. I said, hold on, let's stop right now. We got to pray.
Right.
And I just started declaring and decreeing because I view it as an attack on his health. Because you all know, the things that Valton are doing, they are not just for him. They are touching other people. He is having these Dondro Height film camps to let these kids, many of them that are in poverty and in marginalized communities, that don't have any hope. If you all will recall the young lady from JO, when she said, Mr. Valton came to our school that often gets overlooked. He thought enough to come to us. So I'm looking at this as a demonic attack. You know, the imps are up trying to stop this because he's trying to help people, even with the people he have in the film. These are not well-known people. These are people he's like, come on, you can do this. And some of them now that thought they never thought about acting is acting, and the opportunities coming up for this Sunday. So I'm going into warfare. And if for those of you all that don't know about warfare, that means you got to get on the wall of petition and go in. Meaning you may have to skip some meals to let God know, hey, God, I need you to shore this up. This cannot happen. So I was declaring and decreeing that it wasn't cancer. But at the same time, like the Hebrew boys, God, if it is cancer, you the Lord over that too. So we're not worried about that, because some healing comes divinely. Some healing does come through medicine. And although doctors think they're great, they don't think about they got that knowledge because of the Most High God that gives that to them. So I immediately activated my chain of prayer warriors. And I got a cousin, you all. I call her a professional intercessor. So Valton, you had people praying for you all over the world. I mean, literally, she's in a group of world intercessors. And that's what they do. So you all, this was the first time I would say I got to see Valton's vulnerability. And you know, because y'all, let me tell you something. I don't care how strong you are. You get say some mass, and anytime you get a mass, y'all, whether they say it or not, instantaneously, cancer comes in your mind. So as he said, when he was sitting in between those appointments in the day, that battlefield of the mind. So let's jump back into, you was getting ready to share about that battlefield of the mind.
Yeah. So, and I thank you all for your prayers, and thank you for activating your faith on my behalf. Yeah. So when you're thinking about stuff, it plays out like a movie.
Yeah.
Because somebody had to put it together and put it into acts and scenes. And if you go back, it says in the beginning, and here's that scene, God created the heavens and the earth. All right. And in the next scene, and he created all these other things, and he rested on the Sabbath day. And then Adam and Eve and all these people show up. These are scenes and acts through the beginning of time that walks us to this period we're in now. And we're now those characters that are making the roles of this world. Okay. And it is incumbent upon us to act in such a way that we can be used by God through the Holy Spirit to propel others to draw to him. And it says, if I be lifted up, I will draw others to him. Right. So while I'm thinking through all of this stuff that I know, how applicable is it going to be for me now that I have to activate my own faith? LaSheree said to me, you've been doing all this praying for everybody else. Now it's time for you to start praying for yourself. And Valerie, I'll give the audience, I'm going to give you a quiz. And I'm not going to play games with you about this quiz. It's very specific. And if you can give me the answer, I will cash app you $50 tonight. Here's the question. What is the Lord's Prayer? What is the Lord's Prayer? And I'm going to put a pin in it right there. I'm going to write it down so that I'll know to come back to it. Okay. Now, if you think you know the answer, just private chat Valerie. Can they private chat on this thing?
I don't know all that. They're going to put it in this chat box. Well, nobody see it but us. But
okay, all right. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
cool.
I'll see who put it in
think
first.
About what the Lord's Prayer is, people, and we'll come back to it and we'll talk about it. It's not controversial. It's very specific. But because we've been raised a certain way, we think it's a certain thing. So so let's go back to it. So you're thinking about these things that's going through your mind, and you're meeting the dash. I always like to tell people, live between the dash. Mm-hmm. So we now are going to see Dr. Bivens and talk about the pre-admission piece of it. You know, you got to do your blood work. You got to do all this stuff. And it ran afoul because once I got there, they did all this stuff, but they still hadn't put an armband on me. So a nurse walks in and she says, "Sir, what is your name?" And I tell her, and she says, "Oh, I love your voice," and going through all of that stuff that people always do. And she says, "Well, I think we gave somebody else your armband." Ooh. And I'm like, okay. and in my mind, I'm thinking, I need to get my butt up out of here because they finna mess up my whole life. So they got it rectified and all that kind of stuff. So here we go. It's Wednesday. Thursday morning, I'm supposed to be there at 5:30 a.m. Of course, no sleep. We get to the hospital. I'm agitated because I'm nervous. I'm nervous because I'm agitated, and nothing is just going my way. So 8:30, they come and get me to take me back to my room. Here it is 3 hours later. They've given me all this time to talk to my family and friends who are sitting out of the audience with me. But I'm listening to them, but I'm not, because I'm tuned into what's getting ready to go down. And my main concern is I don't want to go be put to sleep artificially because I don't know if I'm going to wake up. I ain't with all of that. I don't like that idea at all. But a buddy of mine texted me early that morning. He said, "You trust God, don't you? You trust him to wake you up every morning. You go to bed at night. So you got to trust now." I was like, okay, that's a good way of putting it. Well, they put me in this room. 3 hours later, somebody knocks on the door and says, "Has anybody come here to see you yet?" I'm like, these people. I'm like, I said, "Can y'all just take this IV out of me and let me go to the house?" They're like, "This Dr. Bivens not gonna like that." I was like, "Well, I don't like."
Look, and me and LaSharie texting the whole time. I was like, "Oh my goodness!" Yeah. And I asked, I said, "Is he okay? Is he gonna stay?"
Wait, I'm telling you, I had that little robe on that they tie in the back for you, and you know. I was like, and it's freezing cold in here. I'm like, my goodness. I said, I'm going to get up and leave if y'all don't hurry up. Well, the anesthesiologist came by and told me, you know, he asked me a couple of questions. And a couple of hours later, now it's 4:00. The doctor comes in. He says, "Well, we're going to take you down here and do this." I'm like, "Man, I ain't had nothing to eat since 48 hours ago. You just not going to do this surgery at 5:00 in the afternoon." I'm like, "Dude, I'm hungry." He was like, "Well, we're going to take care of it. We're going to take you on down here in just a minute." So they wheel me in. And that's when it got real. I could see the big lights. I could see the robotics that they were going to be using and all this other stuff. And I was asking questions because I wanted to know, like it was going to really make a difference. It was more nerves than anything. And I told the anesthesiologist, or this, what do they call them, CRNA? CRNA. I told her, I said, you know, in all transparency, I'm scared. And she said, "It's going to be all right." And then I heard the Lord say this: one or two things are going to happen. Either you're going to wake up and see your family, or you're going to wake up and see me. And that's comforting in the spirit. But at the same time, I wasn't ready for that. I wanted to see LaSharie and the girls and the grandkids and all the things that we have going on. So I told the Lord, I said, "Lord, I just really want to come through this so it will be a testimony for others, and so that we can complete the work that you have already started." Because we have a ton of kids waiting in the hopper. We have 200 children right now, Valerie, 200.
Wow. That
are ready to go to film camp. In the city of Birmingham contacted me and said, "Will you do 4 camps for us this summer?" And we have them on the east side, south side, west side, and north side. And we're running these camps concurrently. My team, they're ready to rock and roll. So these are the things that I wanted to get through this so that I can get to this piece of work so that we can bring 200 additional kids into the knowledge of filmmaking. And the beautiful thing about what we're getting ready to do is there were 4 sermons of a number of sermons that I have preached down through the years. And they're entitled, one is Consequences, one is artificial turf, impossible, and I thought you knew. Those 4 titles, one of those will be given to each one of the schools, the 4 schools, and the kids have to write a script around it because we have screenwriters at these schools. They're going to write a script around each one of those titles. They're going to act it out because we got acting coach at each one of these schools, and the film crew is going to film what they've written and how they're acting out these things. And that will be their body of work. And then we're going to have a grand award show in April of next year. But I was asking the Lord to see me through all of this so that I can help bring these children into the knowledge of something other than what they're engaged in now. So here we are. The operation takes place. I hear this little voice that sounds familiar, which wakes me up. And it's LaCherie. They messed around here and left her in the waiting room after I was transported to my room. So I'm going to write a letter when I get my mind clear to let them know how dysfunctional their processes are. But she was hot because she didn't know where I was because they moved me from OR to my room without coming to get her, but they shut off all the lights where she was. So it was a mess.
That's why you don't need to be the last person having surgery.
Like, what's the process in this thing, right?
Because the recovery team ready to go home at 5.
Yeah. And so she's talking to them about certain things, and I can hear her. So I wake up, and then I get on, start telling them, hey, I need some ice. And they were like, well, we can't give you an ice right now because we hadn't released you from downstairs and that sort of thing. I'm like, well, why am I up here if I hadn't been released? And then LaCherie said, well, this is really what happened, folks. I'm a real butthole when it comes to certain things. And if you know me, and if you know me, you know me. But here's how it worked out. So the guy that was telling me, I'm going to take you upstairs. I said, well, tell them that I need some Percocets when I get up there and some ice chips. Okay. We get upstairs. I'm thinking they're going to give me the Percocets and the ice chips when I get upstairs. No, he didn't put in the system that they were releasing me from downstairs to bring me upstairs. So they had to go through that chain. And I'm thinking to myself, and she told me this, LaCherie, she said, you ask those people, those RNs, those doctors, are you all incompetent? Can you not do what I ask you to do?
You blame it on the anesthesia coming from under.
No, that's just my personality.
Are they still giving Percocets, Valton? Is that the drug of choice now?
Ooh, yes, Law.
Look, I ain't been at the bedside. In 20 years. Good Lord, that's scary. Yeah. But I can nurse now. If come jump down to it, it come back to you.
You're right.
Yeah,
well, they'll give me something, huh?
Yeah. So and Valton, I know going through this, I've had a scare like this similar after a mammogram, having to go back. And of course, anytime they call you back for a repeat or something, you like, oh,
you're right.
And breast cancer, all cancers, you all are on the rise. I actually just did some quick look at kidney cancer. In 2023, it's estimated that 81,800 adults in the United States will be diagnosed with kidney cancer. Worldwide, it's estimated over 431,000.
Oh, wow.
And men are more at risk for kidney cancer. And even though they haven't tied necessarily the risk factors, they do notice that smoking and obesity, everything related, obesity makes you at high risk for everything.
Right.
And of course, hypertension. However, when caught early, it's the fact, and they do they do cancer in 5-year survival rates is the way they do it. It's like 77% as an average. But of course, everything is individual as to when you find it. So and it's not common, they say, in younger people than age 45, and it's more common in Black people and American Indian people. Are the more common ones. So I found that quite interesting. And I had the opportunity this weekend to spend time with a lady from London. She's Nigerian, but they live in London. And she had some chocolate. And I said, this looked different. The wrapper, it was a name of a chocolate I was familiar with, but it looked different. She said, "Oh, taste it, taste it." So immediately when I tasted it, I was like, "Oh, this is different." She said, "It is different. It don't have all those carcinogenic agents that America allows to be put in foods over here. They're banned in foreign countries."
Wow.
And I could literally tell the difference in the taste
yeah.
of that chocolate and the American one. And you all, it's not always, but definitely, I think a correlation is definitely the way our foods and stuff are preserved and prepared, and how we grow a chicken from a chick to a full grown chicken.
Because bread don't get mold on it anymore.
Yes. I think I had a trainer tell me one time, I think he said bread has been genetically modified almost 200 times.
Wow.
And he was like, something's wrong when something stay on the shelf that long and does nothing happen to it. So y'all, we need to be careful what we eat, and almost we need to go back to farming, having our own gardens and everything, because I was just really shocked looking at these these stats on just kidney disease.
Yeah,
kidney cancer. So it's amazing. So Valton, so after you got through with the surgery and discovered they had to take your kidney, what was that like in your mentally for you? Because sometimes losing an organ or something can be very traumatic.
It didn't really, that doesn't really affect me as much as the glory of what happened with the story. By that I mean when Dr. Bivens and I talked and on the following day, that Friday, he said I had to take your kidney because there was cancer growing down into it.
Okay.
He said, but because I was able to get it all, you won't have to have chemotherapy or radiation.
Yeah.
And I reminded him that while he has an MD, there's another person that I serve, GOD.
Yeah.
It gave him the opportunity to go through medical school, to go through the processes of learning robotic medicine. And when we had initially talked, he said he thought he could get it out. And so I really wasn't worried. My main concern really was, I got these projects I got to get done. Now, Lord, hurry up. I was like, now, Lord, hurry up and get me healed up so I can get on out here and get this stuff done. That was really where I was in my thinking. This was just a temporary rest.
Setback.
That I can't continue to go at 100 miles per hour while I'm trying to get this stuff done. But in that, it did take on its own legs because it was still getting done even without my physical presence being there for the last 4 or 5 days.
Yeah.
Because of the type of things that I had already put in place, So I'm grateful that we were able to get it. We met with him Friday of last week, and he said that it was stage 1 T1 cancer, and he got it all and reconfirmed that there was no additional medicines that were needed, which I was teasing last week. I said, who gets cancer and don't have to have chemo or radiation?
Yeah.
Valton Johnson does, and I was just messing with her about that. But it's because the Lord was already in the plan. In fact, he said, before you were formed, I knew you.
And he knew it was, and it had to bypass him. That's what we felt. Even though we live in this fallen world, even the things that come to us, they have to go by God. And I always tell people this: faith is not faith until you don't have the answer.
Right.
If you figure it out or somebody else can provide you the answer, that's not faith. Faith is when your back is against the wall.
Right.
There is no way out. There's no way up, down, backwards.
Yeah. You just got to trust.
You are stuck in that place of total submission and trusting God, and also relying on your support system. Because when you go through something like this, it's not just you. It's your spouse, it's your children, it's your close family, friends. And especially if you've had a recent incident of somebody may have experienced something with cancer, then that makes it more real.
Right.
I know I shared with someone. For me right now, my job as a nurse, I audit records. So I'm reading patient charts all day. Now I'm 57. When I'm reading this stuff, I realize now it had more of an emotional and mental toll on me as I'm reading all these diseases, you all, because people are getting younger. It used to be things I saw. I'm like the 70 something, 80 something year old living their best life now. And these diseases now are manifesting in young folks. I'm talking about 30s, 40s, 50s with all this stuff, and just reading all of this. And then, of course, with mental health, and y'all, I always have to go back to COVID. We're now just seeing the things that have affected us, based on COVID, with the supply chains, with jobs. I mean, there are people, y'all, decided I ain't doing this no more. Healthcare in itself, which is probably what you got caught up in, Valton. There's a shortage, you all.
Yeah.
It's a major shortage. A lot of the baby boomers said, I'm out. And then you have people like me, the earlier part of Gen X, we're winding down to ending our careers. So it's a possibility. And you all, I want to put a plug in for organ donation here, since we're talking about Valton having kidney cancer and having to lose one of his kidneys. That is why we need people to be on the donation list, and specifically Black people, because you're more likely to get an organ from someone that's from your same race. And the good thing about kidneys, you all, you can be a living donor with kidneys and liver. Now, you got to be a special kind of person called by God to donate your kidney to someone. And it's becoming more and more common now, because you can live without one kidney successfully. And thank God for that, because long years ago, they didn't realize that. So there was no hope. So
and that's the thing, Valerie, you asked a minute ago, how did I feel mentally about losing a kidney? Well, when he told me I could live with only one, I already knew that, because I have a nephew who had a Wells tumor when he was 4.
Okay.
And Aaron is now in, I think, 40 something, and he's lived up to that time and to this time fine. And I don't know other people, some folks in my family that has had kidney challenges and are on one kidney. The thing that we have to remember is that listen to your body. If something triggers in your body, men in particular, go check it out. We have a propensity of just blowing it off, much like I probably did, because Mike did tell me, Dr. Bivens did tell me, whatever this is inside of you has been there about 5 to 7 years. Okay. I have been feeling something for that long. And I was thinking, well, it's probably gas, it's whatever. But I finally went and got it done, because it was so unbearable the times that it manifested itself, that I wanted to find out and go ahead and take care of it. And the beautiful thing about it is it did not metastasize.
Yes, that's great. It was
centralized. They got it all, and we're ready to rock and roll.
And Valton, you said something, you all. When you go, first of all, you need a primary care position, and you don't need to be doctor hopping. Even when you go to specialists, they need to be connected to your primary. So if something happens, one doctor has your entire medical history. But you all, when you feel the odd things out, you need to get it checked out. Several months ago, I told you all, my heart started racing and didn't know what caused it. But guess what? I went straight to the ER, because I was not going to risk that chance. Nothing came up, did the full workup, hadn't had it anymore. Don't know what caused it, but the point was it was different. So when you notice something different, don't dismiss it. Mention it to your doctor. So if nothing else, they can document that you said this.
And also mention it to your family.
That something's going on, because other people notice changes in you as well.
Right. And let me say this, Valerie. Folks, you may see this graduation sign behind me, and Valerie says it's flipped on the screen, so it's probably backwards to you all. But I was in school during the last 9 months for modeling, acting, and voiceover, so I could have that in my wheelhouse for these film things that I'm doing. And my wife arranged for a gang of people to come to the house for lunch. I think that's what we were doing. but my mind was focused on that surgery I was going to have the next week. And Valerie and her husband Terrell, they came by, as well as a lot of other people. But what I'm getting at is that I was in school having these film camps, rocking and rolling, doing other things, but yet this matter was going on inside of my body. So when you feel like something is off kilter with you, no matter what you are doing, I don't care if you're running for president of the United States, if your health is in bad condition, it will reveal itself. Health is wealth. Money don't mean nothing for real. I mean, it's great to have. We can buy these cars and live in nice neighborhoods, safe places, and do whatever we want to do on vacation. But you know what? Don't matter what them zeros look like in that bank account, it cannot save your life. Only what you do for Christ is going to last, and he is the only one that can intervene. He did it for Hezekiah. Look at Hezekiah, who turned to the wall and said, 15 more years, Lord.
He reminded God of what he had done.
Yeah.
Now listen, you can't be out here living all kind of ways and turning your face to the wall, okay? You might not make it to that night. Hezekiah was able to say, Lord, I've been faithful. I've been obedient to you. I've done what you said. See, a lot of people want to turn their face to the wall and you just got through cussing somebody out.
Hey, they're trying to hide from God by trying to turn their face to the
wall. So remember that. So Valton, I am so thankful.
Thank you.
You know, and I even had to admit to Valton, I said, I think after talking to you the first time, I was a little shook because, it just caught me so off guard. I was like, I wasn't expecting that, and I really wasn't. And it was real to me too, because I had a brother who just finished up a deal with bladder cancer. And like you, Valton, he didn't stop moving. Yeah. He has a lawn service. He's retired now. And he was like, man, I ain't got time to be sick. Right. I got to get my yards to cut. This is my money making season. Yeah. And he lives in Detroit. Like, this is my money making season. I ain't got time for this.
Right.
But thankfully, him vaguely mentioning something to my sister-in-law where he was having, it's like, you going to the doctor. Mm-hmm. And so it made the difference. It made the difference. You are early detection, you all.
Right. Saves lives.
Yeah. And I always tell people, inspect your body. You need to strip down. If you have a mole or something that's not, you need to look at it. And if it starts to change, you need to say something.
Right. And you hear that, men? You hear that, men? Now you take your wife in that room and y'all strip down and y'all check each other out.
Listen, don't y'all devour. Okay, it's time to end the show, LaCherie. Listen, he feeling too good. He's feeling too good. But you really do.
Yeah.
You need to know your body.
Right.
Women, you need to examine your breasts so you can notice if there's a lump or something in them. And I have to give you this. Y'all just pick the first of the month. The first of the month is easy to remember. Mm-hmm. I go to the doctor during my birthday month. I lock them all up at the same time. It's just easier for me to remember. It's like, it's my birthday month. These are all my doctor's appointments.
Right.
And make sure you all that you know your medical history.
Yep, exactly.
Most people now with the electronic medical record, you can actually go on there and download.
Right.
The copy, the synopsis of your medical history.
What is
and
it?
Have it with
you. They call it?
Yeah, in the portal. And have it.
Yep.
So we've come a long ways. I tell you all, the worst place you can be is somewhere and something happens. And people got to take time to try to get your medical history.
Right.
So, Valton, I am so thankful that God allowed you to be healed both ways, to me, divinely and through medical intervention, because your cancer had not metastasized. You do not have to have a treatment. And I actually had told you about my cousin. I actually verified with her. She said, no, if it's localized and they got it, he should not have any treatment, because she's like my, I call her my cancer treatment consultant that I reach out for people, And y'all, it's always good. If you know someone in the medical field, y'all reach out to them and ask them. Let me take that back. If you know someone you can trust in the medical field,
right?
Let me say that, because it's hard to navigate the medical field. As you can see, Valton from over there from 5:30 in the morning till really 12 hours later, almost going in for your surgery.
Right.
What should not have happened if the surgery wasn't going to be to that late in the evening? Should have showed up. after lunch.
That's what I was thinking.
However, it happened.
Right.
And you had to work with it. But I was telling Lashery to tell him, Lashery, keep him calm. Don't let him get up and leave.
I'm about to cut somebody up in there. But, you know, and the great thing about what transpired in my life over the course of my life, there's a guy named Milton Brown. Milton is a doctor's doctor. He's a MD, PhD kind of guy. So he teaches other doctors how to become doctors. And he's a cancer specialist. They consider him the world's leading chemist. I had him to come preach for me once, and we grew up together. He said that medicines come to him in 3D. While he's asleep, God would give him medicines to put together. He said he'd go downstairs and put the stuff together in his formula in his study, and takes it to the lab the next day and see if it works, and it works on lab animals and stuff. But anyway, Milton has a lot of patents out there on cancers, how to stop them. But the pharmaceuticals were having challenges because they couldn't make any money off of it if he solved the problem for cancer. Well, nevertheless, he created his own pharmaceutical company last year. But when I got all this stuff going on, I called Milt. I said, hey, Milt, this is what's going on. And his wife's a doctor as well. And we grew up together, so we're very close. And he said, well, I want to follow this. So he and Michael Bivens, Dr. Bivens, connected. So Milton was following my path of this challenge all the way through. And when he called me the other day, he said, I want to make sure I get the pathology report so I'll see what the next steps are going to be if in the event, so that's where we are. So if you got a friend who's a doctor, get a little bit closer to him, not to lean on him, but, just because. But I thought that was important to note that I've been placed in a way that God had Milton to go to medical school years before, you know what I mean? And now when this thing happened in my life, I'm able to say, hey, Milt, this is what's happening, man. And he says, hey, we need to do this, that, and the other. So the Lord makes no mistakes. He is sovereign, and we must give him the credit that he is due, So it's been a journey, and I've had no pain. I've literally had no pain. I've had some discomfort, but it hasn't been overwhelming pain. To have lost a kidney, to be out of the hospital the following day, rest through the weekend, sitting in my bedroom on my laptop doing some work, ready to rock and roll on that Friday, go to the doctor. He says, you ready to drive. You walking, you doing everything you want to do. Just don't lift anything. And Lashery, don't let me lift anything. I mean, literally. And our roles reverse, really, because I generally don't let her lift anything. But it's just been a labor here of love, and the love that we are experiencing is God's love. And it is wonderful to share. But the thing that's interesting, as you pointed out earlier, there are so many people now that have cancers. Yeah. Since I placed this on Facebook, I've had someone reach out to me and say, I just found a mass. They just found a mass on my esophagus. I just had some things to go on in my bronchial area. I have leukemia. I got lung cancer. I got breast cancer. I got sinus node neck cancer. I'm like, what in the world?
Yes.
And these are people, Valerie, that I talk to on a daily basis. A weekly basis anyway.
And one of our ministers, Minister Miranda Jones, preached Sunday. I wasn't at church because I was on a glamping trip, but I listened to her today, and her message was pray, press, and praise when you're in diverse situations. And she talked about Paul and them being in the jail. She was like, yeah, they was locked up, but they still prayed. They pressed on and they praised. And as a result, not only did they get delivered from the jail, everybody that was in there with them.
Right.
And but and even with that, we never talk about this. They did not leave. They stayed. They stayed there. But as a result, the jailer was saved. So in this, in your sharing, you will cause definitely some mail to write, wait a minute, I need to go get that check. Because if you have a persistent something that keeps showing up, that means something's going on. Now, we may have some pains that come, and if it doesn't come back anymore, but if it's something that's kind of like escalating, it's getting worse, you need to pay attention to that. And I'm gonna do this for Lashery and our talking and sharing through this. She did like Hezekiah. Because you all only been married how many years now, Valton?
Are you trying to put me on the spot?
No,
It'll be 4 in October,
4,
November.
yeah. But
November.
she said when y'all met, y'all were older, and she was like, Lord, her prayer was that you all have a long marriage.
Right.
And she said when this came out, she reminded the Lord
Mm-hmm.
of what she said.
Mm-hmm.
So y'all, sometimes God waiting on you to say, "Hey, remember what I
What we
told,
talking about?
what I
Yeah.
asked you about."
Yep.
And He do want us, even though He don't forget anything. He want us. Sometimes y'all just be praying in a mist. You ain't remember what you're saying to the Lord. So hey, you. So look, when you say, "Lord, remember when I said this,"
Yeah.
He said, "Okay, they were serious about that thing."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that is
Right.
something. So you all, if you have a praying wife or a praying
Yeah.
husband,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
as about to say, their roles have reversed. And I
Mm-hmm.
know being male, men are hard to relinquish that. I know for my husband, when he was sick, he was saying, he was apologizing when I was doing the stuff for him. I said, stop it. I
Yeah.
said, that is why we have each other.
Right. Right.
That is why we have each other. And
Mm-hmm.
thank God I'm able to do it and
Right.
also willing to do it. Because y'all,
Will.
you
Yep.
know, some folks, they ain't for that sickness part.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hey, just
Right.
hey, Jay Miller say amen. And LaSharie say, yes, ma'am. And I meant it from the bottom of my heart. For
Yeah.
sure. We have got to, and you all, even if you're a friend of someone, you can still support them. Battle talking about people brought meals and different things to them. You know, that's just a blessing
Right.
of,
It is.
helping people. And through this, LaSharie wanted to make sure Valton was surrounded by people that loved him before that
Mm-hmm.
service and praying for him. Because we all about prayer.
Right.
We
Absolutely.
and we pray in Jesus' name.
Yep. That's right. That's
In
right.
Jesus' name. So,
Yep.
Valton, I'm just glad you're back at it. And
Well, thank you
between
so
me
much.
and LaSharie, you won't be running amok. I hear like everything going good. Okay. Because y'all, I got to share this. The Kappas had, what was it they had, Valton?
The Derby Day.
Yeah, they had a Derby Day.
Yeah.
So, was that the day after you got home? That
It was
Saturday.
that Saturday. Yep.
So, LaSharie had an opportunity to go. So, she was posting the pictures on the Facebook. And I was like, if I see Valton as one of these pictures, I'm headed to 6th Avenue South on 2 wheels. And I called him at home. I said, you were on the deck, I believe. I said,
Right.
I know doggone well you didn't know.
Yeah. Because initially we were supposed to go, but then
I
this came
know.
up. And so I told her to go and represent the family. That's funny you say that because one of my frat brothers, Brian Owens, called me last night. And he was like, man, let me tell you something. Your wife was a hot stepper. She came up in there and shut the place down. She was sharp. And he said, I can just hear her saying, if Val don't get off that sick bed, I'm going to be out here in these streets. I'm like, no, bro, I ain't got that kind of
No,
life.
You know
I
what?
told her to go.
LaSharie is truly a nurturer
Yeah.
and a very loving,
Yeah.
caring person. And her gift to y'all is helps and giving.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is her joy.
Yes, it
And
is.
she is gifted in that for
Yep.
sure.
Yep.
Valton, God could not have given you a better
You telling
helpmate.
me. You telling
And
me.
listen,
Yeah.
and you better remember that, cause LaSharie, I got you, girl.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna put this up here across from LaSharie. She want to thank everyone for their many prayers and abundance of love showered on them during this time.
Yeah.
So
That's good.
Valton,
Thank you. Yeah.
you go on to get you some rest and relax. Is the game coming? Oh, the game coming
There's a
on. So you
game
got to go
coming
watch
on,
football.
but
You got to
but
go
but we
watch
got but
basketball.
we got to circle back to the question,
Oh yeah, the
ladies
question
and
you
gentlemen. I
did.
asked you, what is the Lord's prayer, and I don't see anybody. Did anybody answer that question?
Ain't nobody answer, but I know.
Nobody
Listen,
answered.
you trying to do a trick question.
It's not a trick question at all. I clarified that on the front end. It's not a
No.
trick question at all.
Okay, does anybody watch it? Do you all know what is the Lord's Prayer?
What's the Lord's Prayer? And you must realize that I am a theologian, so the question is one that will cause you to think about it.
Come on, Floyd. I see you.
What's up, Floyd? And who's that
Jay
over there?
Miller. And I saw
Jonica. What's up, girl? And
Tasanda.
Sean.
Yeah.
Tashonda Price.
Anybody know what the Lord's Prayer is?
I don't think anybody knows. I think people are afraid to say because they think it's going to be wrong.
Yeah.
The epitome example of pure love and giving from the heart. I love her. Them both. Oh, she's talking about LaSheree now.
Yeah, LaSheree. Let me put that up so you can read. For definitely sure.
Yeah.
Definitely sure.
And we love you too, and thank you all so much. And man, that grandson of ours graduating. That boy is the bronze bomber, isn't he? Their son is a boxer.
So Valton, you gonna get an answer, or you gonna let
sure.
it?
So
okay.
So what do you think the Lord's Prayer is, Valerie? What have you been taught down through the years?
Okay, what I was taught.
Mm-hmm.
What I was taught was Our Father which art in heaven, but that is not the Lord. That is the model prayer.
Bingo. That's the model prayer.
That's how we should pray.
Yes, right.
But now the prayer, the Lord's Prayer is fire.
Is John 17.
That's right.
John 17, 1 through 5, Jesus prayed for himself. 6 through 19, he prayed for his disciples. 20 through 26, he prayed for the modern day disciples. That is the Lord's Prayer. John chapter 17, verses 1 through 26. Not the model prayer that we've been taught, Our Father, which art in heaven. Because Jesus said, pray after what? This model. It wasn't his prayer. It was a model that he was identifying to us how to convey what we're thinking if we couldn't think of anything
else.
The
thing about John 17, Valton, is this what people miss? Jesus didn't pray for this not to come upon us.
Right.
He said that you don't lose heart, that you don't get faint, that you don't deny him, that you don't say, "Oh, I can't get with that Jesus thing because I'm having a little pain." He said, "I pray that when it come upon you, you will pray, press, and then praise." Even though. So that's the thing. So if y'all go home, y'all tonight before you go to bed, read John 17.
And next week, there may be another quiz.
Yes. Well, Valton, I enjoyed this, and hopefully it will help someone to, be more mindful of their body and what's going on. And definitely you all go and get regular checkups.
Right.
And I'm going to tell you, the older you get, the more frequently you may have to go. You may not be able to go once a year.
Right. Exactly.
Hey, or better yet, what you can do, if you got some specialists you got to add on, you go see your primary, then you see your specialist in 3 months, then you see the next one in 3 months.
Just be prepared for them co-pays because they're going to want that $30 every time you go.
Spread it. And I would tell anyone, especially if you're a Black person with hypertension, if you've never seen a cardiologist, just get a consult. Just go one time. Get them to work you up where they get all of the EKGs and all of that stuff. Right. If something runs in your family, you all, a lot of insurance now are leaning more toward doing the testing to see if you're at high risk for it. So hopefully one day in America, we will move toward true wellness versus treating sickness.
Right.
So
exactly.
Well, you all, we enjoyed you. You all enjoy the playoffs because I know everybody is excited.
Yeah.
We're down to 4 now, Final 4, right?
The Final 4, that's essentially.
Yeah, I might start watching because it's too much.
So the Nuggets are leading the Lakers right now 20-18.
Okay.
It was in the first quarter. So folks, I'm a basketball fan, so I gotta roll. I've enjoyed you all.
Y'all have a good night.
To us, and it's good to be back. Thank you, Val, for everything.
Okay, and next week, you all, it's Mental Health Month. So next week, we're actually going to have a licensed counselor. Her name is Janice Smith, and she is owner and creator of Creating Your Path Firm. So she's going to take us out on some mental health info. Y'all take care. We love y'all. Good night.
Peace. Love y'all.